450 Mulberry Street in the South Main Historic Arts District of downtown Memphis sits one of this country's premier heritage and cultural museums.
This place has power for folks.
Decades before it became the National Civil Rights Museum, it was known simply as the Windsor Hotel. That was 1925. In 1945, the property was purchased by Walter Bailey, and then it was called the Marquette Hotel. But Bailey changed the name after his wife, Lori, and a song titled Sweet Lorraine. And the motel became one of the few places in the country where black travelers could stay.
The National Civil Rights Museum opened in September 1991, just a few years after a group of concerned citizens sounded the alarm in the mid-'80s that the Lorraine Motel was headed for urban renewal annihilation.
We found the community support to say, you know what, this place has value. We want to keep it sacred. Yes, what happened here was tragic, but it's our story, and we deserve to have that story told here more than any place else.
Most know the story of the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s assassination on the second-floor balcony of the Lorraine Motel, room 306, now a time capsule of April 4th, 1968.
But there's something about a building, about a space, to know that you're walking in the same path as someone where something historic happens that moves you. It's almost indescribable. And so historic places have value in that way.
And while the motel building holds the story, the museum is more than a memorial to Dr. King.
So while we are a place where a horrible murder happened, we're also able to talk about the context of what brought his career and his life journey together. But there's also stories of folks on the grassroots level, you know, of what happened, who they represented. So now when people come to visit, they expect to see the place where Dr. King was assassinated. What they walk away with is an understanding of African American history in the United States and an understanding of the Lorraine Motel's place in that story.
The museum is now a complex of historic buildings that hold about 260 artifacts, more than 40 films, oral histories, and interactive media.
By the end of the 1950s,
as well as outdoor listening posts, which guide guests through 5 centuries of history, from resistance during slavery all the way through the events of the late 20th century that inspired people around the world to stand up for equality.
You will find here that we amplify the experiences of the ordinary person, because it was what was happening at the grassroots level that really created a sustainable change. You're going to confront emotions you never knew you had about certain experiences, because we don't shy away from telling that story. There is this great audio and film footage and television footage that helps people see.
Justice too long delayed is justice denied.
You can hear Dr. King's voice in the Birmingham jail cell. You can see these photographs and you can make determinations for yourself. Our space is very engaging. We have so much technology throughout here that you can walk through and just have fun with the technology. Or if you want to read every single panel that we have, it'll take you a few hours, but you can do that as well. And I think that that's what's important, that we serve various different learning styles and various modes of engagement.
Like most, COVID-19 caused disruptions in museum operations, but also inspired new ways of educating and storytelling.
But then we've also had the opportunity to reach audiences in ways we never would have done before. So our digital programming, we get now emails from Australia, Europe, Asia, Africa, of people saying, hey, I checked out your program. And it shows that the work that we do has a global meaning.
God-given rights.
And lasting impression.
But we have found that in the days, weeks, months, and even years after they've visited this museum, that something happens in their lives, something in the world occurs, and they think back to what they encountered here. And it makes them grateful that they understand the context, and it makes them reflective. I also think that the museum is moving into a space where we're part of a national conversation in a more deliberate fashion. People are really deferring to us more so for judgment, for support as we navigate these troubled times, and I think we're going to continue to see that. This place does not leave you easily.
Kim Clark, WMC, Action News 5.
The National Civil Rights Museum reopened on March 1st, but because of COVID-19 concerns, you do have to buy your tickets online. Social distancing and capacity guidelines are followed, and you will have to mask up at all times.